Okay, now we're recording. I just let someone else in. I'm going to share the screen. Share the screen. I'm just letting a couple other people in. Please mute your microphones as you come in. And you can feel free to share your video if you want to or not. It's not important during the training right now or at this point. So I'm just checking to make sure that I've successfully shared my screen. Alyssa, can you confirm that?
Yep, I see the VISTA monthly impact report, December training.
Okay, so we're online. So I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your schedules to include this training. It's really important. Your monthly impact report is critical to the success and important to the growth and continuation of our program. And I'm going to definitely, by the end of this training, you'll understand why. It also contributes into the continuation of the story on how AmeriCorps is eliminating poverty. So in this training, you're going to learn about the purpose of the report, the definition of the performance measures to be reported, and you will actually we will all actually complete a report together. And then we're going to review our impact goals for 2021. So in the performance measures that are in the report are on volunteerism, volunteer training, resource development, program and systems, new activities, COVID-19, and good stories. And just to kind of review at a high level, with volunteerism, we're collecting or we're reporting out on the number of volunteers you recruit from the community or your college campus. Any training that you facilitate to the volunteers, which could include orientations or safety protocols. The resources that you bring to your program via grants or fundraisers or leveraging in-kind resources from partnerships. New activities that you may do in other AmeriCorps focus areas, the programs and systems through capacity building that you create for your organizations, the good stories in terms of the impact that you're making, and anything you do in regards to COVID-19 initiatives that are for your organizations, because we're going to have you participate in some of our initiatives, but we also want to know what your organization may be doing specifically for COVID-19. So going into or describing the AmeriCorps focus areas, AmeriCorps has a mission to eliminate poverty with strategic plans to impact communities in these 7 focus areas. So first, going over disaster services, there's a unit specifically that focuses on disaster services. And what they do is they basically help individuals be prepared for a disaster. They help in the recovery and the mitigation. In terms of economic opportunity, which is one of the focus areas that our program consists of, it's about employment, employing individuals, helping them with career readiness, and even teaching them about financial literacy or improving their financial knowledge. In education, which is another focus area for us as well as AmeriCorps, it is about developing and implementing educational programs, mentoring, and supporting secondary education programs, or improving our our enrollment in secondary education programs, right? Improving our enrollment in college. Also, environmental stewardship is another area of focus, which supports the stewardship of our environment, our natural resources, including energy conservation. With Healthy Futures, that's a focus on providing nutritional education, food supply and securing or food security, physical education, medical resources, including mental health in this category. The focus on federal, for veterans and military families, I tell you, recording is very interesting what it does to me. But anyway, veterans and military families is a focus on the services that benefit them, just making sure that, sorry, I had to people into the room. Had to admit a couple of people into the room. So anyway, going back to the benefit services for specific veterans, the military and their families, we have muting. You guys have to make sure that you're muted.
I'm like, I don't think
Hey,
I can
Patrice,
take
if you want to make me a co-host, I can mute.
Okay.
So now I still feel the same way, but this
Hey,
is
you guys, we
different.
can hear your phone call.
I can't make you a co-host. I can't make you a co-host. I can only make you a host. So unfortunately, but I do have a button for muting all.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. So hopefully I can edit that out of the program. Anyway, going back to capacity building, and that's us, the VISTAs, and the number of organizations we help to build their capacity and the number of systems we help to improve and processes we help to improve within those organizations. So going on. So the AmeriCorps measures, they measure the performance of our projects, the projects that they are funding, right, through a grant by outputs, which is the quantity of services, the quantity of individuals served, the quantity of programs, the quantity of systems that we are helping to develop. And they also measure outcomes. What's the impact from your service or project? What changes occurred to the community? What were the benefits to the organization that we're in? What changes happened to the individuals that received the services, such as their attitudes or beliefs? Did they increase their knowledge and or skills? Did their behavior change? Or the condition or circumstance that they were in, was that changed? And why performance measure? Why measure the performance? For one thing, as we know, again, it's a grant, and we know the purposes of grants. You know, they are for the purpose of improving the community for the good. And basically, this grant is funded with federal dollars, and there is an accountability to the funders. And there's accountability to the stakeholders, as with any grant, right? And it's kind of interesting when you think about the funders in this case, and I'm telling you that this is largely supported with federal dollars. Funders include taxpayers. That's a big thing, including us, right? And stakeholders would include, of course, the community that we are servicing or benefiting from our service, the organization that we're in. MCSC is a stakeholder. Politicians are stakeholders. And most important, you are a stakeholder. Then recognizing the progress of our program is really important. The progress that we're making toward the goals that are set in this program that are established in the grant. And in making sure that we are reflecting the change. that is that we are trying to make happen in our communities. And then last is the program improvement. It helps both MCSC, your reports help both MCSC and AmeriCorps to understand the strengths and the weaknesses of your projects and the site, right? So, because there's two parts of this, the things that are accomplished. So are your projects really being effective? Are they impactful? And about the site and administering or actually having a VISTA program and how they're managing things. Is that going well? So the things that you report in this, or let me say the things that you report out may determine how things should change. And it may help us to help you with technical assistance or other resources that may be needed. So going more specifically into performance measures that are in the report and kind of doing a breakdown on the outputs and the outcomes that will be measured and should be reported. So under new volunteer management, the output measured is the number of volunteers that you recruit from the community and the hours they served. And we want to filter out and know the number of volunteers that you recruited that are veterans or their families. And the outcome from this is the increase in community volunteer hours, which is a major part of the AmeriCorps program because we're about empowering the community. We're about making sure that the community is a part of the answer, about them being a part of the answer that's being implemented. So community volunteer hours and increasing them are important. And it's also important to Michigan as well. And then the benefit of the function or the event that the volunteers are working in or serving in. Then there's resource development. There's one more. So, oh, there's a chat. So then there's resource development. So resource development is the grants, the donations that you collect, the in-kind services that you put in place. So it's the dollar amount behind those or the value behind those. And then of course the outcome is where is that money going? Where's the funding? What is the funding benefiting? And then there's systems, the number of systems that we put in place or the number of systems that we improve or enhance, and programs. So the output is measured in the quantity of those systems and processes. And the outcome is the effectiveness of the program, the efficiency of the program, the increase in the program outreach. So going into our focus area of education, the output is the number of individuals that are served under your educational projects, right? And then the outcome is measured in terms of the individuals, their attitudes or belief. Do they have now an increased interest in school or an increased interest in attending college? Have they grown or improved in some sort of knowledge or skill? And I think a lot of mentoring organizations help with that. In terms of behavior, has their behavior changed? And it could be, has their bad behavior decreased or has good behavior increased, in terms of school attendance or other actions? Then condition, did our program help them to have a high school or contribute toward them earning a high school diploma or a college degree? Performance measures under economic opportunity, another one of our focus areas. So basically, again, the output is the number of individuals served, and the outcome is the number of individuals with improved financial knowledge. Did you help to implement a financial literacy program? Did you help? We have someone here, and that's Tom, who's at who's serving in the Upper Peninsula at the Michigan Works. And his project consists of helping youth between, I believe, 18 and 24 to really secure employment, to utilize the services of Michigan Works. And they have also programs to help those individuals be job ready, right? So those are outputs that should be measured. And then additional outcomes that are on this report are activities in other AmeriCorps focus areas, such as that healthy futures. You may have a service or participate in a program for educating youth in terms of nutrition. Then how many youth of color benefited from your projects? How many youth may be disadvantaged in rural areas that benefited from your projects? How many military people who are active or veterans and their families that benefited from the services that you were a part of? And then this last part, which is really important, is the last part, but it's the best part. It's about good stories and accomplishments. Every month, you should have a good story or an accomplishment that you want to further describe, because you do good work all the time. So all we're asking is for one of those stories, right? Just one of those stories. And if you've received any acknowledgements publicly by your organization or other entities, please share the posting or the articles that was published. And this is a key to AmeriCorps in highlighting or marketing our program and growing it. Challenges and concerns are very important too. What I understand is, in my experience, that if there's a red flag, it doesn't change. It doesn't change colors, and it tends to multiply. Molehills can become mountains if it is not addressed. So we really want to help and address challenges or concerns that you may have. You are important, the community that you're serving is important, and everything you do is essential. So we have to, I'm sorry, I got distracted again by another thing, but we want to tend to the issues that make your progress or your successful service, and we want to tend to them as soon as possible. So be open and share with us. So now we're going to actually do or fill in a report, because it's nice to go over all of these points, but seeing it and actually practicing filling it will make it sink in. So I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna go to Alyssa, which you are right here, Alyssa. I gotta pull you up. Okay, Alyssa, you are now the host. You can share the document, and you can share your screen, share the document, and we'll go into filling it out. Okay. So the first three cells are really easy, but I want to go down to reporting dates, because your first report will be due in January. And the reporting dates are going to go back to the first month that you began your service. So you're going to backtrack all the way. Some of you are going to backtrack all the way to September at the start of your service, and just recollect all of the things that you can think of what you've done, and input it into this document. And the other thing I want to say is that the report is due the first week of the month. So what you're going to be reporting on is everything you completed in the month prior. And so the first week of the month is your report will be due. And your VISTA leaders will definitely remind you of that date. So going down into volunteerism, I'm gonna say project number 1 is gonna be the MLK Day. And the date is going to be, again, January. Project description is sewing masks for PPE, or to provide PPE to poverty families or families that are whatever. Yep. The VISTA role is just in recruiting and leading the project. So the number of community volunteers recruited by the VISTA is going to be 20. The number of hours they served, I'm gonna say if they served 10 hours in doing this, so that'll be 200, 10 times 20 is 200 hours. The total community volunteers managed. So this means that you didn't recruit these volunteers, but they may be from a volunteer list that your host site has. And actually, I need to unmute you guys if I can. Or actually, Alyssa, can you unmute them?
I don't know. Should I have somebody so we might get all the backup? Do you want?
Or
They can just mute themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, so you can raise your hand if you have a question, because at this time, I really do want you to participate, and I'm going to be asking you for numbers or ideas. So anyway, the community volunteers manage our volunteers on this project, but you didn't recruit them. They came from a list that your organization has, or a go-to of volunteers that they utilize for their projects. So they are on this project as well. So I'm going to say there's 10 of those. And the number of service hours that they did would be 100, because again, I'm just multiplying it by 10 and adding it up. So going further down, the number of veterans in this who are serving as volunteers, the volunteers who are veterans, and you can get this number by simply, when you are asking, you are registering the volunteers, or you are asking them to volunteer. That can be a question as you are gathering their contact information. You can also ask them if they are a veteran. So in this, I'm going to say we have 10 veterans. So this is project number 1. You may have recruited since September for several projects. So if you go down, we have up to 3 projects that can be included in one report. If you need more projects, if you recruited for other things, or this is not enough fields for you, you can always feel free to customize this report to what you need it to be. So go further down. Let's go into, I think, training. So volunteer training. These are the trainings that you facilitate. So let's put the training title of safety protocols. And let's do that on January 10th. Volunteer safety protocols on January 25th. And then the training description, safety policy for volunteering at I'm sorry, safety policy for volunteering or safety instructions for the for preparing masks. For preparing the masks at MLK Day. You may be wanting to instruct them on how to be safe during, as they're preparing these masks. There may be safety protocols if it was a live event, and there are certain things that they need to know in terms of, if it's an emergency, what to do. So the number of volunteers or staff that's trained would be the 30. Let's just say 30. And if you are training or conducting another training, again, we allow for you to list 3 trainings, up to 3 trainings in this report. So going down into resources. And again, if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand. So in the resources, we're going to use grant as the resource type, but it could be donations. It could be someone who volunteered and a partner who volunteered training. It could be gift certificates, someone who donated gift certificates. It could be memberships to a gym or something like that. That actually happened in the last program. So that's why I'm mentioning that as an example. Define the source. So I'm going to say AmeriCorps funding, AmeriCorps grant. The intent for the funding is for the MLK event, MLK service event. Yep. The dates for the resources, I'm just going to say January. Yep. Those grants were, I'm going to say 500 because I know it was a small amount. So anyway, but if it was an in-kind service of training, try and understand the value of that training. It could be in terms of the individuals that they are serving. It could be in terms of the hours of time that they are putting in, but there's a value behind an in-kind donation. So try and understand what that is. And again, for resource development, we allow you to input up to 3. So go ahead, further down. So in organizations and systems, this is always a yes. Capacity building services is a yes. And you can kind of explain what you've done. Let's put down the example of creating a program for mentoring. And that should be a specific program, whatever the specific program is. I don't know, but anyway, for mentoring. Has your organization completed a community assessment? You'll know if this is applicable to your assignment or not. We can say no at this point. Did you assist with developing 3 or more effective volunteer management practices? List them. So we talked about safety protocol. There could be a registration, a new registration, a new volunteer registration, or a new volunteer handbook. Okay. So did your activities help your organization be more efficient? And list, you're going to say yes, and then you're going to list what the activities were that helped with being more efficient. And one of the examples I brought up was a tracking database for donations. anything that you make electronic from paper. So an electronic registration is being more efficient, or a website registration. So list new systems or processes or enhancements that you developed. And this is, again, another duplication here of an electronic registration for the website. So wherever it's applicable, this registration also helps to make the organization more efficient. So whatever is applicable, again, just list it out. It helps us to develop the narrative. And then, did your organization experience an increase in request of services as a result of the activities undertaken? And I'm going to say yes. Yep. And that's maybe 10 more requests. And you can explain what the service was. Related to your project. So then going down to new activities. And again, these would be activities in the other focus areas, or maybe something outside of what you normally do, or you can also list where your activities lie, such as economic opportunity. Say yes, or say one there, and say, again, developed financial literacy program. Under education, can somebody suggest or have an example under education, what kind of activity they've done?
I've done like career fairs.
Yep. Career fairs, planning career fairs.
Graduation ceremonies. Job fairs. But not just like job fairs, but like what do they call them?
So career job fairs, that's under education, but that's also economic opportunities. So actually copy that too and put it under economic opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyone else have an example?
We had volunteers read children's books, record themselves reading children's books to send through 3 students.
Reading program.
Also helping high school students fill out financial aid information.
So to me, that's economical opportunity too. But the under education, and it's also under economical opportunity. Go further down to some of the other stuff. Environmental services or healthy futures. Anybody have anything there? Okay, let's keep on going down to veterans and military families. And again, we're just filtering out. Not that, sometimes you may have a program specifically for the veterans, but if they've participated in your programs or they've received benefits from something you've done, that's what we want to capture. So it's not an additional thing, but it's just kind of filtering out what's been done. So go further down. In economic opportunity, again, we're talking about specifically what services have benefited young people of color or low-income youth? Rural, we're in rural communities now, so I should expect something there. Did your organization increase services for youth, including job training and skill development? I expect to see something from Michigan Works on that, and DPSCD. And maybe, those are the programs that are in my head right now, but I'm sure there are other programs that are associated with this too. Going further down, COVID support. This is where you are to report anything that you've done, your site has done, that you've been a part of in providing support to the COVID-19 measures, specifically in helping, of course, our young people. Additional accomplishments and good stories is we're coming toward the end. And any challenges or concerns. We actually gonna take that out and make sure that stands out, the challenges and concerns. And then further in the back, go down to the end of this. There is a list of definitions. So anybody have any questions on the report before we close it out, or any section you want to go back to?
I have a quick question, Patrice, actually.
Okay.
So about the like volunteerism and volunteer like training.
Yeah.
So in my role, since I'm at the University of Michigan Ginsburg Center, I do a lot of training with like the work study students. They aren't volunteers because they are being paid and compensated. So I didn't know if they fell under kind of this like volunteerism or like the training part of it, and how I would log that if they're not considered the volunteer section.
So I would log that under accomplishments. Since it's not necessarily under the volunteer training,
Right.
I would that under accomplishments. So it'd be other accomplishments.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else?
I also have a question.
Okay. And then Marlena, I'm sorry. The person also make sure, I'm glad Alyssa took it back to economic opportunities, because you would be listing your activity for helping the work study students. That may be also under the economic opportunity, because you're helping them to be employed.
Okay, perfect.
Trace,
Thanks
what was
for
the other
clarifying.
section you were referring to about accomplishments?
That's at the, go ahead, Alyssa.
Oh no, you said she wouldn't put it up here. She would put it somewhere else.
Yeah, down further. Additional accomplishments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then I should just kind of keep track of the numbers of that as well, though, like training 20 work study students and like keep it that detailed in this section.
Yep, you can keep
Okay.
it here or go back up for a minute. To economic opportunity. This is where the document, the reporting document can be improved. I'm going to bring this suggestion up, but we're dealing with something that was existing. So under economic opportunity, it says how many disadvantaged youth were served. You can put your program down and you can put how many youth were served in this box.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Patrice.
Yep. Because we're going to consider them. They may be advantaged, but it still will help us to track that number there.
Okay.
How many individuals were served? Okay, so there's another question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my program is still in the planning stages.
Yep.
We haven't directly affected anyone yet. What would I put in the reports?
So where is your program at? I mean, like,
UVM's office.
give me an example of what you're doing.
So we're working to get more minorities involved in environmentalism and sustainability.
Okay. So of course, under environmental, you can say planning stages under here. List activities we're planning, environmental program for young, whatever it is, you can describe it there. And then go back up to capacity building. So under capacity building, go down for a minute. List new systems and processes. We're going to also expand this to programs. And in this square, go back up. Go back up. It says yes, no, or started. You're going to list that you started. You're going to list that you started, and then you're going to list the name of your program or kind of explanation as to what the program is.
Okay.
Yep. And so then as you continue to report, you know, you're just going to keep updating us as to where the program is. And you may further define your accomplishments in, again, the end of this document. But you guys are helping me. I tell you, you're helping me in how to improve this report. So.
Another something to clarify also is that the report is reflective of the period of time that you're reporting for. So if your volunteerism project or some of the stuff that you're doing is going over, you know, the 1 month and it's going into a couple of months, we don't want duplicate data. And so we want just the stuff that you did in December or, you know, as we go forward, because right now it sounds like we're going to lump since you've been started to now, but going forward, it'll become a monthly document. And so every month you'll be reporting separately for that month that you're reporting for. So you don't have to put the back data in there. And correct me if I'm wrong with that, Patrice.
Nope. Yep, you're correct. And then we don't want to count volunteers twice. So that's why it's a continuation. It's already been documented, it's archived, and then you just continue on to show your progress. Again, this is a progress report. Any other questions? Those are all very good.
I had a question. When you're reporting grants, are you only reporting the ones that you have received, or are you reporting the ones that you've applied for but didn't receive?
Right. Good question. You're reporting on the grants that you've received.
Okay.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, just because you don't receive the grant doesn't mean you didn't create a partnership. And so maybe you can put that, what you've created, somewhere. So maybe even created a partnership for potential resources for funding. That definitely can go somewhere. That can be an accomplishment. That can be more specific, depending how much information you have on it. So give yourself credit for everything. There's space here for everything.
Yeah, accomplishments is definitely a credit. Again, like I said, you do good all the time. So we should have a listing of all the good things that you're doing. So is there any more?
Patrice, will we be able to get this document out to them today so that they can have it for them? Like it sounds like the first one's due the first week of January, and they'll have the document today to take care of it between now and then?
Yeah, they'll have it tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm going to reclaim the code as host. I think I should have control now. And I'm going to, you can stop sharing your screen, actually, and I'm going to share mine. And go back into this, our impact. And this is really good. This, just to let you know how great our cohort is. We definitely we will be recruiting community volunteers and managing what they are doing. We are also recruiting student volunteers from the campuses. So we're actually having students engage in volunteering. And we're actually going to reach out to high school students as well and have them increase their volunteerism. We will increase the number of youth who are being mentored. We are going to increase the number of youth entering secondary education or entering colleges. We have many in universities, and they are working in enrollment and addressing the issues, the obstacles, the blocks that are blocking our people, our minorities, rural people, the disadvantaged youth that have obstacles in their way of getting into college. We are improving our youth academic performance with our supplementary educational programs. Let me say it like that. We are empowering the youth voice. That's a new one for us because of systemic racism. That's an accomplishment. It's not necessarily listed in our document, but this is one of the accomplishments. And I think it helps with economic opportunity and in education, empowering the youth voice. And then we're supporting youth through this pandemic. So that's some of our impact stats. And this is not all inclusive, but I think it's a pretty good list of what we're going to do, what we're going to accomplish in our 2021 service year. So now, again, this is the final question session. We have a couple minutes still. Do you have any questions? I'm gonna start my video, possibly. I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm back, kinda. So no more questions, you guys?
I have a question. Should we just, I'm assuming we just send it to our VISTA leader and then just CC our supervisors, and then that'll just kind of be the.
With this, I'm glad you asked that. With this report, I want you to review it with your supervisor before you submit it to your VISTA leader.
Okay.
Because they may have some input. It's amazing. They tend to see things that you don't even see, and you may have impacted more than what you think. So I want their input into the report before you send it to your VISTA leader.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Patrice, I just have a question for you, but I'll ask it once everyone else has asked their questions.
Okay. Sophie, we're gonna miss you.
I'll miss you guys too.
Yeah. So anything else? Sophie, your question may help others, so go ahead.
It's about end of the year.
Oh, end of the year. No, it's not going to help others.
I was gonna say, no, that sounds like it's gonna confuse others.
We don't want anyone ending. So I am, with that being said, I'm going to hold on to Sophie and I'm going to let you guys go with holiday greetings. I'm going to see you though. There's some other training. There's a social that will be coming up. So I will see you in another training very soon. But anyway, I will let you go for this one. And I'm going to stop the recording.
Thanks, Patrice.
Thank you.
Did you stop the recording?
Thanks,
Yes.
Patrice.
Yeah.
Bye.